Let me start with the story that gained the most national attention this weekend, and that is Arie Gilbert transferring to Florida. He had been in the transfer portal. This has been coming for some time. It was just a matter of when and where. So I've asked a question, and I've read, I think, multiple accounts of the story, and the question I get most often is he going to be eligible next season? And I've gotten a very, very firm I don't know from a lot of different places. So what say you on that question?
No, I'm sure Florida, the school he committed to, is hopeful of that. I think there's a lot of variables. One being, are they going to allow you this free one-time penalty-free transfer that is supposed to be passed at some point this offseason? I think I had heard May at one point. But the kids wouldn't have to sit out. Is that going to be waived for the SEC? Because right now you have to sit out if you're doing SEC to SEC schools. So sitting out at least one season obviously comes down to that. I think it comes down to where he stands academically. I think if he's got anything else that's got him facing any sort of suspension of games, that carries over. So I was a little surprised that never mind. I'm not surprised by any of this. He shocked everybody when he committed to LSU in the first place, and that even LSU staff, and that was over Alabama and Georgia when everybody thought that's where he was going. He he goes into the portal, and everyone figured, okay, he's probably going back home. Watch out for Georgia, and now all of a sudden he's headed to Florida. Check back with me in a few months, and we'll see where things stand. I don't have any answers because I think all of this has been so kind of flying by each passing day of a different decision of where they want things to go with kind of Gilbert and his camp.
And as we know, and you mentioned it there, Shea, like this day and age in college football, I guess it shouldn't surprise us when anyone enters the portal and does decide to transfer. I know that's something that just happens all over the place. Even a true freshman that started every game that he was a part of and was a part of the offense, still now in college football, like that doesn't matter. There's so many other things that play into it, and guys are on the move so much more than they ever have been.
Yeah, and I think everything's case by case. Look, there's a bunch of other kids that were on this team that were involved as freshmen that didn't leave. So I think each one sort of plays into, I don't know, a different variable, whether it's family factors or what a kid's got going on in his life. I'm not as into the widespread belief yet that 5 stars in every class are just going to decide, hey, I can play and play well and then leave, and it's no big deal, and there really wasn't anything else going on. I'm thinking this is kind of a few and far between thing. Unfortunately, it happened to LSU.
Shea Dixon is our guest. All right, Shea, now that we've tackled that story, let's go to the good news on the weekend, which is LSU has picked up a couple of commitments, and let's start with the big name in the class, which is Wil Campbell making his commitment to LSU official over the weekend.
Yeah, North Louisiana 318 is representing once again here. Look, this is 6'6", 285, and Charlie and Jacob, you've probably said on the radio 15,000 times over the past 10 years, they've got to go national to get these offensive tackles. They've got to get these first rounders because Louisiana doesn't produce them. I mean, Lael Collins and Cam Robinson are the 2 highest ranked offensive tackles. Both those guys were no-brainers who currently start in the NFL and were 5 stars when it was all said and done, that played at big-time SEC schools like LSU and Alabama. That's the kind of area that Wil Campbell's in terms of talent, ranking, body as a sophomore and junior in high school and now entering his senior year at Neville. He plays at a big-time program. I see him very much in the same light as I looked at guys like Cam Robinson and Lael Collins before him, and those 3 are the 3 highest rated offensive tackles out of Louisiana across the past 20 years. Before that, you can say Whitworth, 22 years ago or so, but he was a guard coming out even, and they moved him, I guess, out to tackle eventually, obviously. But no doubt Campbell, offensive tackle, and I love it. 6'6", 280 right now. It's not like he's some guy that's 340, 350 that you're going to have to trim down. He's going to come in ready to play as any freshman offensive lineman since, well, I guess Ed Ingram was pretty ready, but, the Posick days and certainly before that, you got to go back almost a decade. So this is a This isn't just a big deal. This is one of the biggest commits that you get in across a decade. This is a no doubt blue chip offensive tackle from your state that everybody wanted.
Shea, when you look at the 2022 class for the state of Louisiana, you've already got the top two guys committed to you. Where does this class in the state of Louisiana rank, though? How special of a class can 2022 be in Louisiana? We know we've had some up, some down years. What's this class look like?
Well, it's twofold. The reasons I think that it's really good. One, on the evaluation side, at least from our end, right, the public, or at least 24/7, our company, we've got 19, 20 guys who are all ranked, in that high 3-star, 4-star range. But we've also got 1 and 2, Wil Campbell, a left tackle, and Walker Howard, a quarterback. And there's a lot of people who think that after Walker Howard played that first year, look, we ranked him top 100 in the summer, and he had never started a high school football game because Caleb Holstein had been the starter. So now that he's had a year under his belt, and if people listening, if you haven't, go to Google and Walker Howard huddle, watch his highlights as a junior for STM. They won state. He's going to press guys like Quinn Ewers and others for the number 1 quarterback in the country. So point being, your top 2 players in Louisiana are, 5 stars, borderline 5 stars that are a left tackle and a quarterback. Those 2 positions just don't come around often in this state. You don't have elite quarterbacks and you don't have elite left tackles. And if those are your number 1 and 2 players in the state, it's already a super deep class. Then you look at Ed Orgeron and his staff have offered 19 guys already. I mean, there was a class 2 cycles ago where they signed 5 or 6 Louisiana guys, and they went so national. That was a year ago before this class. But Orgeron's always said, I'll take what Louisiana will give me. They usually will sign 10, 11 in-state guys, and they'll have offered 15 or 16 by when it's all said and done. We're a year away from these kids even signing, and he's already got 19 offers out. And I know that they want to recruit this state even more to rebuild this roster, but you're not going to offer guys that you don't think could play. So I think that speaks to it. It's a super deep class, but when you start out with left tackle and quarterback, in whatever order you want to put them as the best players in the state, that's a good time to focus on Louisiana.
And you've got 6 guys committed from the state of Louisiana to LSU in that class. Beau Bordelon over the weekend from Newman decided to commit as well. Kind of give us the book on Beau Bordelon.
Well, obviously, as his dad played at LSU, they've got to run on legacies now, talking about Walker Howard a second ago and Jamie, and then you get into Ben Bordelon's son, Beau, now. And he had played was down in South Louisiana before moving over to Newman and getting the start this year. And he's played well. And he's a kid who's already got really good size, 6'5", 6'6", and he's weighing about 250 pounds. I love that. Look, people knocked Charles Turner coming out, and he was weighing 210 pounds. They thought he was a tight end. They bulked him up to the point where he still needs to keep going, but he was playing ahead of some guys that were ranked much further ahead than he was. My point being, Beau Bordelon's well ahead of that already. I mean, he's going to come in that 6'6" range, weighing 280 by the maybe 270 by the time he's a senior and onto a college campus through that first summer with Moffitt and them. And that's right where you want him. And it's big to go into New Orleans and get another guy, to get another legacy. They offered him a week ago. He got committed right away. He's buddies with Wil Campbell and Walker Howard and a lot of these other kids in this class, which I think is going to play a big role. And if LSU can really score big, is tapping into how close a lot of these guys are. We saw it a bit with this past class, and I think we'll see it just as much, if not more, with this next class. But when you've only got, in December they signed 1 offensive lineman. It was Garrett Dellinger, a top 100 offensive tackle, but it was the only guy they had. And right now on Wednesday, the expectations, or at least their only commitment right now, is Kimo Makaniole, who's an interior lineman. That's 2. So you knew you had to start out fast somehow in this 2022 class. Kudos to them for the span of just a few days locking up the 2 best offensive tackles in Louisiana.
All right, Shea, since you brought up Wednesday, play it out for me here 48 hours in advance. You wake up Wednesday and you expect this, and this to happen.
I expect Ed Orgeron and company to be okay with whatever happens. And I say that meaning that they signed 20 guys in December. They've got Savion Jones, a really great in-state D-end, and I mentioned Makaniole, another lineman, committed and set to sign on Wednesday. And then they're trying to close it out here with Brian Thomas. And look, you say, okay, I've got 3 spots. And that means that I'm taking a high school, JUCO, a transfer in April, a transfer this summer when someone big goes into the portal. All of that has to fit in 3 spots. So if I'm at Orgeron, and this is just speaking for me and just knowing what the roster looks like now after guys staying and what is maybe really need positions, I'm okay with whatever happens. If Brian Thomas does go elsewhere, well, I braced myself for that. I signed, in my opinion, arguably already one of the best receiving classes in the country with Chris Hilton and Deion Smith, the number 1 player in Mississippi, Jack Besh, Malik Neighbors, another really good player out of the Lafayette area. Those guys are all 4-star type guys, some of them in the top 100. If Brian Thomas comes, that's great. And I certainly can tell you they're trying to close out here. It's LSU, A&M, Bama's still in there. But if he doesn't go, they say, well, we still have that spot, and we already recruited 4 receivers to this class. And, not often are you sweating a receiver unless Devonta Smith goes on to do obviously what he did. But even then, LSU had some pretty great ones on their team. That's not a position of worry. You then look and say, well, we only signed 1 corner, and Dante Balfour is a kid they've offered. He's going to commit on Wednesday to LSU, Auburn, or North Carolina. He's kind of been going back and forth because everybody has offered him over the past few months after they saw his senior year and really now gone after him. But again, the same spot. If he wants in, you're excited. If not, that's okay. We rebounded when we lost Nathaniel Wiggins. The staff, certainly Corey Raymond, turned right around and got another top 100 corner in his place in Demarius McGee. So you'd like a corner, but if you don't get one, you can address it in the portal, or you can address it. Maybe you need a safety a little bit more. I still think they're going to address O-line. Jordan Moko at offensive tackle is a JUCO kid and the big name, but he's been in Australia, and JUCO ball doesn't play till the spring, so he's not coming back to the States. There's really not an expectation he signs anywhere this week. The transfer portal guys don't have to sign this week, so it's kind of a little wait and see of what could happen. Sure, Brian Thomas and Balfour want in. Well, then you've only got 1 open spot. Then you kind of feel like things are a bit tight if you need to address multiple positions out of the portal. That's why I'm going back to how I started. If I'm at Orgeron, I'm all right with whatever happens on Wednesday because I think the base of this class is already there.
Shea Dixon, you guys at Go247 will cover it all going into and through National Signing Day on Wednesday. So thanks for spending a few minutes with us today. I know you're busy, so we'll talk to you very soon as this class comes in.
Yeah, we'll spend some more minutes together this week, no doubt.
All right. Shea, thanks a lot.
No problem, guys.